Chapter 15, Coming Face to Face with Our Primeval Image. So this is Carla speaking. I know supposedly it's pronounced primeval, but I don't like that pronunciation because it contains the sound of the word evil, and I think that's totally contradictory. So I'm choosing to pronounce it primeval. Anastasia, everything you showed me and told me about the dark-haired and light-haired youths and about the little girl Anasta, did all of that exist in reality or only in your imagination? You can choose to answer. You can choose your own answer to that question yourself, Vladimir. What do you mean I can choose it myself? You are the one who can say for certain whether it actually happened or whether you imagined it. Tell me, Vladimir, did any new information appear to you from my story? It sure did. Of course I did. Information and images, I'll say. So that means the information exists? Yes, it exists. I need to analyze it and make sense of it. And I have questions. If information appeared, then it follows that its source also exists. Of course, there has to be a source. Information is an image. An image is information. If someone decides he wants to erase information within you, he will try to prove to you that the image does not exist in reality. And as soon as you agree with the image's lack of reality, then you yourself erase the information that you have taken in from the image. Well, but if this or that image was created by a person, then who's the information coming from in that case? From the image. Why from the image, if a specific person created it? If a child was born to you, Vladimir, a child who imparted new information to all people, including to you too, then who was the source of the new information? The child, of course, but an image. Now, an image isn't a child who has a material body. An image can be non-material too. So does this mean the difference lies only in that in the first case, you can see a material body, but in the second, you can't? Maybe that's not quite it. It's just that when there's a body, it looks more familiar somehow, more credible. A body you can see bears no definitive evidence, and what's more, it can lead you astray. Now, that's true. It sure can. There's even an article in the criminal code called fraud. That's when a criminal, who has a body, deceives someone for his own personal gain. I think I've got everything, Anastasia. If the information appears, and what's more, if it comes from an image, then all of that exists. You can't deny it. And we need to analyze the information that we have received. But when we get caught up in thinking about it, does it exist or does it not exist, then we're wasting time and depriving ourselves of the information that we've gained. Yes, you have understood correctly, Vladimir. There's just one thing I don't get. If every person can think up an image, and the image begins to exist, then how much information do we have to sift through in order to come up with what's genuine? Not much at all. Certainly, every person can think up an image, but people will not accept every image with their whole heart and soul. Not at all. Well, yes, of course, not every image. Really, thank you, Anastasia. It's interesting what you have to say about the image. Tell me something else about the image. What's your opinion? What is it? Man himself is, in fact, an image that has taken material form. And since he is a materialized image himself, man himself can use his thought to create and materialize images. This is where his universal power, a power unsurpassed by no one and no thing, lies. If this or that person doesn't recognize the capabilities within him that have been given to him by the Creator... Wait, no, sorry. This is Anastasia speaking. If this or that person does not recognize the capabilities within him that have been given him by the Creator, then that person himself blocks his lofty power and falls under the influence of other images and materializes their thoughts until finally he destroys himself, his family line, his state, and the whole planet. The artificial, technocratic world was also created by man using the energy of an image suggested to man by his antipodes. Antipodes. I looked this up last time I read it, and it means opposites. So I'm going to say that again. The artificial, technocratic world was also created by man using the energy of an image suggested to man by his opposites. The technocratic world is fragile and transitory. Even the most advanced car, building, or any other object of the artificial world disintegrates with each second, and within but a few years turns to dust or worse, into waste products harmful for man. Man himself, by living in the artificial world, becomes fragile and transitory as well. For it is hard for a person who spends each minute looking at a multitude of disintegrating objects that lack autogenic capability to imagine eternal life and create the image of his own eternity and materialize it. The natural world that is visible to us has existed not for billions of years, but for significantly longer. For at the beginning it already existed within an as yet non-materialized image. The scientists who determined the Earth's age calculated not the date of its birth, but merely the date of its materialization as one of the stages of its life. The natural world possesses the capability for autogenesis, and this capability renders it eternal. The Creator who created eternity is himself the very same. He is Alpha and Omega, and Alpha once more. A great many people might say or think, what was there before the birth of the Creator and his extraordinary multitudinous energies? At one time nothing existed. Nothing. But recall what the Creator said about nothing to his Son. Out of nothing will arise the beautiful new birth of you, and the aspiration reflecting your soul and dream. My son, you are infinite, eternal. Within you lie your creating dreams. But if out of nothing arises something, this means that nothing, too, takes part in the birth. By giving birth out of nothing, in part, the Creator completed the circle and presented to man the image of eternity. The knowledge, understanding, and perception of the energy of the image within him enable man not to die, but rather to drift off and into an ambrosial sleep. Upon awakening, he incarnates in the spot, time, and image necessary to him and created by him before his sleep. Gaining knowledge of the science of imagery leads to understanding the entire universe created by the Creator, and also to the creation of new and beautiful worlds. Lack of knowledge and understanding of the science of imagery leads, unavoidably, to unskillful interaction with the perfected natural world, and to the creation of an artificial, primitive, unnatural world. Lack of knowledge of the science of imagery turns entire states and peoples into puppets, into chess pieces in the hands of those who are acquainted with this great gift. But Anastasia, after all, images can be positive and negative. How are we supposed to figure out which of them bears useful information and which is misinforming us, perhaps for somebody else's personal gain. Through your own self, Vladimir, and through your own image, you will discern the value of any information. You mean every person has an image? Why, of course, Vladimir. Every person has his own image. Each differs strikingly from the others. Were ever a person to preserve his primeval image, then tell me, Vladimir, how would the world look now? Primeval? That means every person has, or used to have, a primeval image? What was it like? Divine. Such is the way our parent, the Creator, did create it in his inspired impulse. It, our primeval image, was it God or what? It was the Son of God, and so it remains. Okay, but where's this primeval image of man gotten to? We can see images of drunks and drug addicts on the street, and images of prostitutes along the roads, and various images make fools of themselves on TV. Where can we get a glimpse of man's primeval image? Within ourselves. Just imagine it yourself. Go out to meet it. Joyfully it will rush towards you. Joyful will be the path. Gradually coming nearer and nearer to each other, you will one day encounter each other. You will unite. Safeguard your primeval image. Do not give it over to others for their own delight. But how? How can I imagine it? There's all sorts of information raining down on us about how man is imperfect. First, they say he's an eternal slave, and then that he's like a lab rat. One of my friends told me a while back that he read in some book somewhere that they said something like some alien beings created people and are now feeding on their energy and training them to be imbeciles. Should you wish to be an imbecile, Vladimir, then go ahead and believe them. Should you believe that you are a slave, you will give birth to a slave within you. Should you believe that someone is feeding on your energy against your very will, you will waste away and really will give over your own energy. Everything exists that you yourself believe to exist. From the very moment of birth, they try to belittle the significance of man, the Son of God. But take note, Vladimir, behind this there is always someone standing, striving to elevate himself. He is, in actual fact, not elevated when compared to man, and is unable to elevate himself, and only one path is left to him, to belittle the elevated one and prevent him from growing. Yes, Anastasia, you're exactly right here. I somehow can't recall even a single book or movie where man is presented as the strongest being in the universe. It's always the aliens that emerge as the strongest. And if the people are strong too, then it's always connected to some otherworldly powers. Now I understand what serious and ongoing indoctrination man is being subjected to. And of course, it's no accident. There is somebody who needs this very much. If man really were weak and didn't possess some kind of mysterious and unknown power, then why be afraid of him? Why take such great pains to prove the opposite? Anastasia, you are the only one who sees man as the Son of God and the strongest being in the universe. But that means that a great many other images will come out in opposition to your explanation of what man's image is. They have methods that have been developed over the course of millennia. They've already created a great many images of powerless people, plus many various teachings that belittle man. The press, the world over, is working for them. The screenwriters and the directors, and there's a lot of them. Really a lot. Looks like you're on your own, Anastasia. But all the same, you're placing your hopes on something. Where are you placing them? Where, Anastasia? On my very own primeval image, and on your primeval image, Vladimir. On the primeval nature of those images of the people building homesteads, those who will, in the future, set off to meet their true image. Anastasia, they also say that you don't exist at all, and about me they say I'm not the person I seem to be, not the way I appear in the books. Now I see that by doing what they're doing, they're trying to erase the information coming from your image and erase it in people, and they're succeeding in part. There are readers, even among those who are building family homesteads, who say, hey, let's not mention Anastasia's name. Let's not talk about the books, and let's not call our kin's domains, given that someone has convinced the authorities that these names are bad. They even offer them various concessions for doing that. And you, Vladimir, how do you feel about suggestions of that sort? To tell the truth, Anastasia, even I had the thought that, given that these words are irritating to some people, maybe it'd be better not to utter them, so things would move along more quickly. Now I get that the process might move along on the surface, but it won't be quite in the direction that man needs. Now I get it. They don't want us to utter the words Anastasia, kin's domain, ringing cedars of Russia, because strong images and information immediately come up once we do. They want to deprive people of them. Am I understanding things correctly? Of course, Vladimir. Behind each word, there really does stand an image and information. It is sometimes the case that behind just one word there stands such a huge volume of information that it would be impossible for even 100 volumes to reflect its image, to substitute for it. Well, there are words that awaken different images in people. For example, the word war. Some people might see a liberating war behind this word, and others an invasive one. Nonetheless, this is Anastasia now. But nonetheless, when this word is uttered in people's imaginations, there immediately arise a great many pictures of battles, warring countries, of weaponry, and many other things. And even if the pictures are a bit different, this is of no consequence. They are great in number and similar, but there is but one word. Kin's domain. There can be a great many different images behind those words, too. Kin's domain is a word combination backed by the most powerful of images. Images capable of settling a person in a divine dwelling land. Judge for yourself, Vladimir. The first 3 letters of this word combination form the word rod. Rod means the people who come into life one after another, and the first of these came from God. Each person born today takes his place at the head of this great chain. It is within his power to settle his rod in one dwelling land or another, in a stone cell, or in the beautiful space of his family homestead, his kin's domain. Or he can break the family chain altogether. It is within his power to nourish his family with divine creation or with food that does not bear the energy of the soul. Translator's note, the Russian phrase here is Srida Abhitaniya. It expresses of the area, space, or spot in which one resides and is often rendered as a habitat. However, in this book, the phrase encompasses all that is part of the area where one lives, as well as the beings and energetic forces present within it. Thus, I have translated it throughout as dwelling land, as it is related to the phrase Srida Abhitovanaya. Also, another footnote, the original Russian is rod or wrote, where wrote occurs in the text, referring to the chain of family members stretching in the past or future. I have translated this using the phrase family line. Okay. What does food have to do with anything here, Anastasia, if my family's ancestors are long dead? Tiny parts of all your ancestors live on within you, Vladimir. Both your body and your spirit come from them. Well, sure, they come from them, but that means each person born anew bears a colossal responsibility for the fate of the entire family line. Yes, each one bears it, Vladimir, and each one is given the power to decide his own fate and the fate of his family line. I agree that we're given that power, but the great majority of people don't really think about their family line. Maybe their ancestors didn't think about it either. So that means the family line that stretches from the wellspring people, from God himself, has disintegrated, fallen to pieces, and it no longer exists? Footnote, the original Russian word coined by Vladimir Megre, pronounced Pirvai Stoki. The root in this word expresses both the idea of coming first or being in an original position, as well as the idea of flowing water and source. Hence, these are the people who served as the source for all others in both the literal and figurative meanings of this word. Kin's domain. Please, Vladimir, think about it. Kin's domain. 2 words, 1 word combination. As soon as a person utters it, then the person, who perhaps hasn't yet fully realized his aspiration, except subconsciously, has given voice to it. I gather together my entire family line and settle it here.